Welcome to Unfiltered, Pixel Pro Audio's weekly show. Today we're going to discuss the differences of the most popular Electro-Voice broadcast microphones. Hello everyone, welcome back around the drum. I'm Tay, this is David, and that is Jay. And today we're going to be talking about Electro-Voice broadcast and podcast differences of their microphones.
So Tay, before we start, can you tell us about your jacket?
I will tell you, just in a minute though.
Okay.
So we are going to talk about Electro-Voice, and they have a long lineage of microphone development and speaker development and all sorts of other things. But you know, we're fans. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
We get them through here used a lot. We sell them new, and so we have a bit of a history, and we want to share that with you and go through some of the differences of their more well-known microphones. But first, let me give you a little history lesson about Electro-Voice.
Okay.
It was started in 1926 by two guys, Al Kahn and Lou Burrows, in Indiana, and they started it at some basement of some industrial place. But they were radio service techs, and they were doing that for a little while. But then they got commissioned. I don't know if they got commissioned or they were seeked this person out, but. Notre Dame's famous football coach Newt Rockne he needed to broadcast his voice out. So they got together and they decided to make this PA system for him so he could talk into this and then it would be broadcast to the team. And he commented, Rockne commented that his voice was electrified, so electric voice. It was electric voice. So that was rumored to be the start of the name that then Kahn and Burroughs made into the company name.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
That's really cool.
Electric voice, and then they just shortened it to Electro-Voice.
Right.
So for a while, then in the 30s during the Depression, they switched over to audio because they felt it was more advantageous for them to make more money or to be successful. So they did that, and then during World War II, they did a lot of work for the government, and so that kind of just kept them afloat, kept them going forward. And then in 1965, they introduced the famous 635A broadcast handheld microphone that we still see today.
Yeah, we see a lot of those.
You used to see those in the halls of Congress and stuff, like when people were testifying before Congress and stuff. That was the mic you saw.
Yeah.
And then to be, very time appropriate, I've worn this nice little jacket here.
Now we know.
Because in 1969, they came out with the infamous RE-20.
Okay.
They kind of came out with it in 1968, but officially they're saying 1969. RE-20 came out.
Okay.
And this kind of revolutionized broadcast microphones for all time. I mean, we still see it.
Now, was it originally the RE-20 or was it the PL-20? Because I've used the PL-20 and I thought that was older.
I think it was the RE-20.
Yeah, I think the PL stuff came later.
Burroughs called the RE-20 the condenser killer. And basically this was for film sound recording studios, applications, and stuff like that. Kick drums, guitar cabs, voiceovers, and it was used for everything.
Yeah.
And then a little later in 1986, the N/DYM was introduced, and that stands for neodymium. Dymium. And these are magnets, and what this enabled the microphone to do was to have a bit of a brighter sound and more power to it.
It was a lot higher output, so you needed less gain from your preamps.
Right.
And then from then they came up with the RE-27 and other various microphones with the N/D.
And we are actually using the RE-27s right now.
Yeah, we should mention that we're using RE-27s.
Yep, we're using 3 RE-27s. And then in 2011 they came out with the RE-320. And I'll kind of let you guys talk about these microphones a little more detail, but that's the quick history. And in between there, Electro-Voice did speakers, they did a bunch of other stuff, and but we were kind of more focused on the microphone aspect of Electro-Voice.
Yeah, I would say today they're very well known for these microphones in particular, as well as PA speakers. Their PA line is very popular.
Yeah, the ZLX line of speakers is some of the best I've heard.
And now that I'm done with the history lesson, I'm going to take this hot polyester jacket off. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right. So, Jay.
So
we've had a lot of experience with Electro-Voice microphones. And obviously the RE-20 is one of our favorites. And we've had a lot of them through here.
I would say for broadcast and podcast, the two microphones you see the most are the RE-20 and the SM7, the Shure SM7. So I think today what we want to do is we kind of want to talk about what the differences are between the RE-20, the RE-27, and the RE-320, because those are kind of the three main broadcast microphones. Though I would argue that the 320, they seem to gear a little bit more towards kick drums than broadcast, but I think it can be used for both.
Yeah.
The 320.
The 320. So let's talk about the filters. The RE-27 that we're using here has the most filters on it. It's got low cut filters, and it's also got a high cut filter. And the high cut filter, in my opinion, makes it sound a lot like an RE-20.
Okay.
So in terms of versatility, I'd say this is probably the most versatile. And it's got the neodymium magnet inside of it, so it's got a lot higher output as well. So the amount of gain you need from your mic preamps is less. And in general, it's a brighter sounding microphone than the other two. Though the RE-320 is very similar. So let's talk about that. The RE-320, let's just start with this. The RE-20 uses like its own element, its own a standard magnet element. And so that's the element that's inside of it. Then with this, they use the neodymium. Two M's. Dymium.
Yeah.
They use the neodymium element, and they also use a neodymium element in the 320, but they use a different diaphragm in that, and so it changes the voice and the characteristic of it. So on the 320, the difference is in the filter, really. The filter on that thing goes from flat, which sounds a lot like this microphone, to they've got a dip at, I think it's around 400, 360 hertz, somewhere around that. That's specifically designed for like kick drums.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like that's what you're always dipping out.
Right. And so price wise, I think that this and the 320 are very similar, this and the RE-20 are very similar, and the 320 is cheaper.
Yes.
So let's talk about one of the biggest weaknesses about the RE-20, which is the infamous rattle of death.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is of course because of its diaphragm. There's some sort of thing inside of it that comes loose beneath the actual diaphragm. It's like a little button piece. I don't know what the technical term is. Maybe somebody out there can tell us what that is. But you hear a lot of people on the internet say that they hear rattle, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's because the foam dried out inside of it."
Right.
But that's 99% of the time that's not true. That's not what's going on. Right. What's going on is underneath the actual like plastic diaphragm, there's this little black button, and when it comes loose, it rattles. And so if you put that microphone in front of a bass cabinet or something, you're going to hear it.
Yeah, it's going to shake around.
It's going to shake around, or if you move the microphone, it's going to go, and if I've done it, it's happened to me many times where I'm testing out an RE-20 and I turn the microphone like this, and then that little button slides across the diaphragm, and the speakers go just ear-splitting sound. So that's one of the negatives. Now they've been making these forever, so how long does it take for that to happen? I don't know.
Yeah. Is there any way to fix it? Do you know?
You have to replace the diaphragm.
Replace the whole thing.
You have to replace the whole element. Which I think is around $150 or something. So I'd love to know if people who are familiar with the RE-20, I'd like to know if you've had one from new, when did the rattle of death appear for you? And they may have fixed it in more recent years. I don't know.
Yeah, usually the ones we will get through here are, some of the older ones, and, probably 10 years old, something like that. So this has happened to them, or maybe even older than that. We'll get them.
I would say probably 25% of them that we've had come in have had the rattle of death used. Again, age is who knows? They could be from the 60s. We don't know.
And can you, if this happens to the microphone, can you use it? Sure, but you're kind of at risk.
And I wouldn't, because also when that little button comes loose, it kind of pushes up against the diaphragm, and that's going to alter the frequency response.
Yeah.
So
and we do see a lot of the foam drying up, but that's easy to replace. That you just take the grill off and then throw some more foam pieces in there.
Right. But that's not,
it's totally
people describe
different.
a rattle. It's not like the rattle they're hearing is this little button rattling around, because it sounds like a little baby rattle almost or something.
Yeah.
The next thing I'll say about it is, when I was doing research for the show, I Googled what are the differences between the RE-320 and the RE-20. And one of the first things that comes up is something from the Gear Sluts forum talking about how the difference is that there's parts from the 320 that are made in Asia. So that's one of, but that's not really the real difference. It's a completely different element. So as we talked about already. Yeah. So I just want to put that to bed. I don't think that that's a valid difference between the microphones. And then the last thing, the thing about all of them is they have what Electro-Voice calls the variable D control, which is excellent for broadcast, because what that does is it keeps the frequency response or the tone very similar as you move around the microphone.
Okay.
Oh.
And one of the things like you'll hear on our show a lot is we use the Aston Stealth, and you can hear when we move around, it
goes away.
It changes the character a lot.
Yeah.
And while the Stealth sounds great, that's probably one of the negatives. And I didn't really know until doing research for this. I didn't really know that was one of the features of all of these microphones, was that thing. And I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons, besides excellent sound quality. That's one of the biggest reasons that these are so popular for broadcast and podcasting, is because you get that. That's really important, because you look at us, we're going like this, we're talking, we're moving around.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to get some change, but you don't want like huge drop-offs in low end and stuff like that. So,
and to kind of piggyback off that was one of the flashing points, the highlights of it when it first came out in 1969, was that it got rid of the proximity effect, and it was like one of the first microphones to really like catapult broadcasting like sound performance up higher.
Right.
Was it got rid of that, and the body too. It's like this kind of paved the way for this style of body. You guys can maybe tell me the specifics of it, but why is it shaped like this with the holes on the side?
Well, that's the pickup pattern.
So that's what gives it the cardioid pattern that rejects from here. So you get that nice focused sound at the front of the microphone.
Right. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that they're on the side, but like that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, acoustics, physics, whatever. It's just how it works.
Nerd stuff.
Stuff. Yeah. The reason it's long like this, though, is if you look up what the dynamic elements look like, is they're probably like that long, really cylinder, like about like that long. So that's why it's this shape and this form factor. Going back to what you said though about the sound quality, I will say, like, even talking to Heil from Heil Microphones, Bob Heil, he talks about how large diaphragm dynamic microphones, he'll put that up against anything. When you're doing a close mic situation like this, he believes they're better than condenser microphones for these kinds of applications. And I think a lot of the times they do. It's really voice dependent and material dependent, but you see these microphones and SM7Bs and stuff being used on vocals for studio recording and everything too. So
all the time,
these large diaphragm dynamic mics are awesome for sound reproduction.
Right. And they also don't pick up a lot of the room sound. I mean, if we put a condenser in here and we started talking, it would pick up all the reflections everywhere. These aren't
shuffling.
Right.
Yes.
These aren't nearly
Cars
as
on the
sensitive.
road.
Yeah. The jackhammer that was out there a few weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
But like you get a way more natural sound, I think, and you don't pick up everything else around it, which I think is great for one broadcast, but also recording. You can really compress your vocals in, and
that's huge for broadcast.
Yeah.
You use a large diaphragm condenser microphone in your studio, but I guess tell us why you choose that.
A condenser?
I'm sorry, a large diaphragm
Dynamic. The SM7B.
Yeah.
The SM7.
I chose it because of the lack of room sound it gave me. I do a lot of metal and rock, and I really need to, so if I'm doing vocals, I'm taking out about 10 dB on the way in. In the box, I'm taking out at least another 30. Wow. So I'm compressing a lot. I can't have the room sound in there. And for broadcast, I mean, you're kind of doing the same thing with your podcast, aren't you? Yeah. Like you're taking out 20 to 30 dB total, right?
Yep, and I have the different chains of. I have 2 outboard compressors, and then on the inside the box, I'm doing another 2 layering to get it down.
Right, and you can't even tell that you're in a bedroom. It sounds like a studio because that's the mic.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. But I don't know. Tell us a little bit more about what do you think about these?
About these mics specifically, I love the RE-20. I think it's just such a smooth mic. If I were going to do a podcast, I would get one of those because they sound so good. I've got an SM7B. I think that works better for music.
Okay.
But I like this kind of mic better for vocals, like in a broadcast situation.
If I could choose one of the RE line, it would be the RE-27. Just again, because we talked about the versatility of the filters. I really feel like I could get the RE-20 sound out of this microphone with the filters and with some compression and some other tweaking. But I just feel like you can do more with this microphone. And I like the bright characteristic. It's got a little high frequency resonator on the capsule. Both this and the RE-320 do. And to me, that sounds good. If you're going to try to record like a studio vocal, it sounds good to have that, I think.
If I had to choose one, I would probably do the RE-20 because most of my experience is with a PL-20. It's a different version of it. But I love that thing on kick drums and on jazz guitars. I love the smooth top end. I mean, you could probably get the sound out of this, but I don't like messing with filters. I just want something that sounds good the way I want it to, and then I can move it around to taste.
I think if I... Excuse us.
No, I'm not. Don't excuse me.
There's no excuse. Yeah. I feel like if I had to choose, I would pick the RE-20.
Yeah.
But... Man, I would take any of them, really. I've used the RE-320 before on my podcast about a couple years ago, and on my co-host's voice, it works really well, and I also like it on mine. Yeah. I think these sound better on my voice. I have a very mid-rangey, kind of nasally sometimes voice, and these sound good on them. I like to listen to my voice on these.
The low end on all of these, I just like it. It's a little bit colorful, I think, and I just like how it sounds. It sounds like broadcast.
Yeah,
it sounds like radio to me. And so, like if you want a little instant gravitas with your audience, if you're new to it, it's like this does that.
Yeah. And another reason I would choose these for broadcasting over an SM7B is that you don't need to buy a cloud lifter or any other stuff. You can just drop up your preamp just a little bit more than you would for a condenser, and it's there. You don't need to get all that extra noise.
Yep, I would agree. That's a big advantage to this microphone.
Yeah,
to all of these.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything else to say about the RE line or Electro-Voice?
I think they speak for themselves.
Yes, electronic voice.
Almost.
Yep. If you guys have any experience with these microphones or if you use them yourself, please leave us a comment. Tell us if you like them. Maybe if you have any negatives to say, we'd like to hear them too. But I think overall we have a lot of positive things to say about these microphones and would recommend them to anybody in the broadcast or if you're doing a podcast. If you're starting out with one, these microphones are great to use. But leave a comment below if you love your RE microphone, if you love the RE-20, maybe why you've chosen the RE-20 over the 320 or the 27 or vice versa or whatever you want to mix and match with that comment. But please do. If you go over to our website, pixelproaudio.com/allaccess, you can sign up for our newsletter, and you will be able to be signed up for every giveaway we do for life. We have one every quarter. So go over there and do that. You'll also be notified about the latest Unfiltered episodes. But, guys, that's it, I think.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Yes. And thanks for watching. We'll see you around the drum next time.
I have the perfect thing to say. I'm not going to say it. And then Electro-Voice versus Electron Voice versus
I'm popular. There you go. That's going to get a lot of hits. Yeah.
This is David, and that is Waving J. And today we're going to... You want to start over?
No, keep going.
No, too late now.
That was way further than even I thought was too far.
I got to it before David did.
He looks like he's being pious today.
I don't want this recorded.
I would make him feel bad whenever you can.
I mean...
The way he's treated you.
He got you there.
Thank you. Thank you very
Nice
much.
in a Quentin Tarantino way.
All right, let's do this.
Have you ever worn that before? It looks brand new.
I wore it once.
Looks like it.
Were you square dancing?
No.
That's
Sorry, I have to give it to you a little bit. You make fun. Anytime I wear anything weird, you make fun of me. So,
And anytime you wear the same thing, he still makes fun of you.
I know.
This is good show material.
That's an extreme close up of Tay.
Electro?
I do have.
Sorry,
I
David.
do have the power.
Oh, so he can speak with his mouth these words.
It's more than I can do.